It was a cold December evening, and the snow fell in soft, lazy spirals, painting the world in an ethereal white. The hospital room was quiet, save for the steady beeping of machines, each note a delicate reminder of the fragile life tethered to them. In the center of this sterile space, a small girl named Emily lay nestled in her bed. Her thin frame was dwarfed by the sea of blankets around her, her face pale, but illuminated by an inner light. At only 10 years old, Emily had fought valiantly against a rare and relentless illness that had consumed most of her young life. Her mother sat at her bedside, holding Emily's hand as though her grip alone could anchor her daughter to this world. She rarely spoke, afraid that her words might betray the fear that loomed over them both. Yet Emily's bright, curious eyes roamed the room, always searching, always questioning. She had a mind that couldn't settle for easy answers, even now, when the horizon seemed so near. That evening, a murmur of activity stirred in the corridor outside Emily's room. Footsteps approached, followed by the opening of the door. In walked a tall, striking teenager with sharp features and a calm demeanor that belied his youth. Flanked by two suited men, it was none other than Barron Trump, the youngest son of a former president. He had been visiting the hospital as part of a charity initiative, but as he stepped into Emily's room, the gravity of the moment seemed to still the air. Emily's mother gasped softly, her hand tightening around her daughter's. "Hi, Emily," Barron said, his voice low and soothing. "I heard you're the bravest girl in the hospital." Emily's lips quivered into a faint smile. Despite her exhaustion, her natural curiosity shone through. "Do you believe in God?" she whispered, her voice thin but earnest. The room fell silent. Even the steady rhythm of the machines seemed to fade into the background. Barron's usually composed expression faltered for a moment. He hadn't expected such a profound question, and the weight of her inquiry bore into him. I don't know," he admitted after a pause, his voice sincere. "Sometimes I think I do, and other times I'm not so sure." Emily's small chest rose and fell with effort. "I don't know either," she confessed, "but I'm scared. What if there's nothing after this? What if I just disappear?" Barron's heart ached. He had anticipated meeting children who were sick, but he hadn't expected to confront such raw, existential fear. Pulling a chair closer to Emily's bed, he leaned in. "You're not going to disappear, Emily," he said firmly. "You've shared so much love with the people around you. Love doesn't disappear, it stays, forever." Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. "Do you really think so?" "I do," he said, his voice steady. "Love is the strongest thing in the world. It's what connects us all, even when we can't see it." The room seemed to glow with a quiet warmth as their conversation deepened. Emily's mother listened, her faith shaken, but her hope rekindled by the sincerity of Barron's words. Even the guards by the door, usually stoic and impassive, wiped at their eyes discreetly. "What if God doesn't exist?" Emily asked, her voice a fragile whisper. Barron took a moment to gather his thoughts. "Maybe God isn't just out there," he said, tapping gently on her chest. "Maybe God is in here. In the love you give and the way you've touched people's hearts." Emily's lips trembled into another small smile. "So even if I go, God stays?" "Yes," he nodded. "In every hug, every smile, and every memory of you, God stays." As Barron prepared to leave, Emily reached out with her tiny hand, her grip surprisingly firm. "Promise me," she said, her voice resolute. "Promise me you'll never stop believing in love." "I promise," Barron whispered, his voice thick with emotion. Later that night, as Barron walked down the hospital corridor, Emily's words echoed in his mind. He had never been particularly sentimental, but this encounter had pierced through the armor of his composed exterior. The simplicity of her plea, "Never stop believing in love," felt like both a command and a gift. "Can we stay a little longer?" he asked one of his guards as they neared the exit. The guard hesitated. "It's not on the schedule." "Sir." "Schedules don't matter today," Barron replied, his voice firm. I need to be here." Back in the hospital lounge, Barron found a pen and paper. He wanted to give Emily something more than just a fleeting memory of his visit. Words didn't come easily to him, but he knew he had to try. With trembling hands, he began to write, "Dear Emily, you asked me if I believe in God. I don't know if I have the perfect answer, but I do believe in something. I believe in you. I believe in the way your smile lights up a room, the way your courage inspires everyone around you. And I believe in love, because you've shown me how powerful it can be. You said you're scared, and that's okay. But know this, even if you can't see it, your love will stay. It will grow in the people you've touched and the memories you've created. You'll never truly disappear. Thank you for reminding me what matters most. I promise I'll never stop believing in love, just like I promised you. With all my heart, Barron." The next morning, Emily's mother sat by her daughter's side as Emily read the letter. Her small hands trembled and tears rolled down her cheeks, but there was a peace in her eyes that hadn't been there before. "Mom," she whispered, clutching the paper close to her heart, "do you think love really lasts forever?" Her mother kissed her forehead, her own tears falling freely. "Yes, sweetheart, I do." And in that quiet room, filled with the echoes of love and hope, Emily's light shone brighter than ever. Though her journey was nearing its end, she left behind something eternal, a reminder that love, even in its smallest gestures, is the greatest legacy of all. A promise to keep. As Barron left Emily's room, the weight of her words pressed on him like never before. The simplicity of her plea, "Never stop believing in love," felt heavier than any political expectation or societal demand he had ever faced. It wasn't just a promise he had made to a dying child. It was a challenge to his own heart, a call to live more authentically. Barron walked the dimly lit hospital corridors in silence, his thoughts a whirlwind of questions and emotions. The snow outside the large windows continued its quiet descent, as if the world itself had paused to listen to his turmoil. In his chest, something unfamiliar stirred, a deep yearning to honor Emily's courage and the trust she had placed in him. "Sir, are you all right?" one of the guards asked softly, his tone uncharacteristically gentle. Barron stopped mid-step and turned to him. "Do you think love is enough to keep someone alive? Not physically, but in the hearts of others." The guard, a gruff man in his 40s with lines etched deep into his face, hesitated. "I think, when someone leaves behind enough love, they don't really go. It's like they're still here, in the way they changed us." Barron nodded slowly, his mind already forming an idea. "Thank you," he said, more to himself than to the guard. That evening, instead of returning home, Barron found himself in a quiet corner of the hospital lounge. A small group of children from the pediatric ward had gathered nearby, their laughter mingling with the hum of the coffee machine. Their resilience struck him deeply. They were fighting battles they didn't choose, yet they managed to find joy in moments others might overlook. He glanced at the blank sheet of paper before him. He had written a letter to Emily earlier, but now he felt the need to do more. She had asked him to keep believing in love, and he wanted to show her, and himself, that he could. Barron decided to create something lasting, something that would ensure Emily's legacy of love reached far beyond her small hospital room. He pulled out his phone and began drafting a proposal for a new initiative, one that would support terminally ill children and their families. He envisioned a foundation that would not only fund treatments, but also provide emotional and spiritual care, a place where children like Emily could find comfort, hope, and a reminder of their own significance. For hours, he worked on the outline. He sketched out ideas for programs, storytelling sessions led by volunteers, personalized memory books for families, and a fund to fulfill children's final wishes. He thought of Emily's spark, the way she questioned, the way she searched for meaning, and decided the foundation would also include scholarships for young thinkers and dreamers, keeping Emily's inquisitive spirit alive. By the time Barron looked up, The lounge was nearly empty, and the snow outside had blanketed the world in white silence. His phone buzzed, another reminder of his busy schedule, but for the first time, he ignored it entirely. Tonight wasn't about meetings or appearances, it was about keeping a promise. The next morning, Barron returned to Emily's room, carrying a small envelope and a framed letter. Her mother greeted him with a tired but warm smile, her eyes red from both exhaustion and emotion. "Emily's been talking about you all morning," she said softly. "She read your letter 3 times last night." Barron felt a lump rise in his throat. He stepped inside, and Emily's face lit up, her pale cheeks tinged with a faint blush of excitement. "You came back," she whispered. "I promised I would," Barron said, taking the seat beside her. He handed her the envelope first. Inside was a small, delicate charm bracelet, each charm representing a symbol of love: a heart, a dove, a flower, and a star. "It's beautiful," Emily murmured, running her frail fingers over the charms. "Thank you." Barron then held up the framed letter. "This is something for you and your mom. It's the promise I made to you, written out so you'll always have it." Emily's mother took the frame with trembling hands, tears pooling in her eyes. She read it silently, her lips moving as she mouthed the words. "It's perfect," she said finally, her voice breaking. Emily smiled, a peaceful expression softening her face. "I think you meant it," she said to Barron. "I did," Barron replied firmly. "And I'll keep it, Emily. I promise." Over the following weeks, Barron threw himself into making the foundation a reality. He reached out to philanthropists, doctors, and community leaders, sharing Emily's story and his vision for the initiative. To his surprise, people responded with overwhelming enthusiasm. Donations poured in, and within months, the Emily Grace Foundation was officially launched, named in honor of the girl whose courage had inspired it all. The foundation's first major event was a celebration held in the hospital where Barron had met Emily. Families, children, and staff gathered in the main hall, now adorned with strings of twinkling lights and colorful banners. Emily's mother was invited as the guest of honor. Though her grief was still raw, she spoke about her daughter's unwavering curiosity and the joy she had found in connection, even in her final days. When Barron took the stage to address the crowd, he held back tears as he recounted his conversation with Emily. "She asked me if I believed in God," he said, his voice steady despite the emotion in it. "And while I couldn't give her a perfect answer, she gave me something greater, a reason to believe in love. She taught me that love doesn't disappear. It stays, growing in the hearts of everyone it touches." As he spoke, the audience was silent, moved by the sincerity of his words. When he finished, the room erupted into applause, not just for Barron, but for the spirit of Emily, who had left an indelible mark on all their lives. In the years that followed, the Emily Grace Foundation grew into a beacon of hope for countless families. Children who had once felt forgotten found joy in the programs it offered. Parents burdened by grief found solace in the stories shared by others who had walked the same path. And through it all, Barron stayed true to his promise. Whenever he felt the weight of the world pressing down on him, he would think of Emily's small hand gripping his, her voice soft but insistent. "Promise me you'll never stop believing in love." And he never did. The legacy of love. Years had passed since that snowy December evening when Barron Trump met Emily Grace in a small hospital room. Her memory, however, was far from forgotten. Her story and the promise she extracted from Barron had become the foundation of something far greater than anyone could have anticipated. The Emily Grace Foundation, born from her courage and curiosity, was now a global movement, reaching thousands of families and children across the world. Barron, now in his 20s, often reflected on that pivotal moment with Emily. It was more than a promise. It was a turning point, shaping the man he would become. He had traded the once linear path of privilege and expectation for a life of purpose, driven by the lessons Emily had taught him in her short but profound life. But the work was far from over. As the foundation grew, Barron found himself drawn to a new goal, ensuring Emily's legacy wasn't just preserved, but celebrated in ways that continued to inspire. And so, a new idea began to take root in his mind. Something monumental, something that would last generations. A dream takes shape. Barron's vision was ambitious. A state-of-the-art facility where children battling terminal illnesses could not only receive care, but also experience joy, creativity, and connection. It wouldn't be just a hospital or a hospice. It would be a haven, a place where kids could dream, explore, and feel alive, no matter their prognosis. He envisioned a sprawling campus filled with gardens, art studios, theaters, and even a small observatory. Each space would be designed to honor the unique dreams and talents of the children it served. It would be a place where love, curiosity, and creativity could thrive, just as they had in Emily's heart. The project, dubbed Emily's Haven, quickly gained momentum. Architects and designers from around the world volunteered their expertise, moved by the story of the little girl whose questions about life and love had sparked a global movement. Fundraising events brought in millions, with celebrities, philanthropists, and everyday people rallying behind the cause. Barron himself became a central figure in the effort, using his platform not for self-promotion, but to amplify Emily's voice and the mission she had inspired. The groundbreaking. On a warm spring morning, the groundbreaking ceremony for Emily's Haven took place on a lush green hillside overlooking the serene lake. Hundreds gathered, including families who had been touched by the Emily Grace Foundation, community leaders, and volunteers. Among them was Emily's mother, now a quiet but steadfast supporter of Barron's work. As Barron stepped up to the podium, he paused for a moment, looking out at the crowd. His voice carried the same steadiness it had the night he made his promise to Emily, but now it held something deeper, an unwavering conviction. "When I first met Emily," he began, "she asked me a question that has stayed with me every day since. Do you believe in God?" At the time, I didn't have an answer. I still don't. But what I've come to realize is that faith doesn't always come from answers. It comes from the courage to ask the questions and the love we share in the process. Emily reminded me that love is eternal, and today we honor her by creating a place where that love can grow. As Barron spoke, Emily's mother clutched a small locket around her neck, inside of which was a tiny photo of Emily. Tears streamed down her face, but they weren't just tears of sadness. They were of pride and gratitude. Her daughter's light had not dimmed. It had only grown brighter, illuminating the lives of so many. When the first shovels of dirt were turned, the crowd erupted in applause, their cheers a tribute not only to Barron's vision, but also to the girl who had inspired it all. Building a legacy. Construction of Emily's Haven was a monumental undertaking, but every detail was infused with love and intention. Barron personally oversaw much of the project, ensuring that it stayed true to its mission. The observatory was a particularly personal addition, inspired by Emily's love of questioning the mysteries of the universe. It was designed to be accessible for children in wheelchairs and equipped with powerful telescopes that could capture the rings of Saturn and the craters of the moon. The art studios were another highlight, filled with supplies for painting, sculpting, and crafting. The walls were adorned with the works of children who had passed through the Foundation's programs, each piece a testament to their creativity and resilience. But the heart of Emily's Haven was the Hall of Love, a circular room with walls made entirely of glass, offering panoramic views of the gardens and lake. In the center stood a tree carved from wood, its branches reaching skyward. Families were invited to hang small tokens, hearts, stars, or butterflies, on its branches, each representing a child's life and the love they had left behind. The grand opening. When Emily's Haven was completed, it was more than anyone could have imagined. The grand opening was a day of celebration, with children running through the gardens, laughter echoing through the air, and music filling the halls. Families from across the globe came to see the place that had been built in honor of a little girl who had touched so many lives. Barron stood at the entrance, greeting visitors with a humble smile. When Emily's mother arrived, he walked her to the Hall of Love, where she placed a small golden heart on the tree. "For Emily," she whispered, her voice trembling. "For Emily," Barron echoed. A new beginning. Over time, Emily's haven became more than a facility. It became a community. Families found solace in each other. Children discovered joy in their remaining days, and love, Emily's enduring legacy, continued to grow. Barron often visited, sitting with the children, listening to their stories, and reminding himself of the promise he had made so many years ago. One evening, as the sun set over the lake and painted the sky in hues of pink and gold, Barron sat alone in the observatory, gazing at the stars. He thought of Emily and the question that had started it all. Did he believe in God? He still didn't have a perfect answer, but as he looked at the brilliance of the heavens and felt the love that surrounded him, he realized it didn't matter. Because in every child's laughter, every parent's tear of gratitude, and every memory created within Emily's haven, he saw something divine, a reflection of the love Emily had taught him to believe in. And that was enough. The lesson of love. Years passed, and Emily's haven became a beacon of hope for families around the world. Its halls echoed with laughter, its gardens bloomed with life, and its observatory remained a place of wonder for curious young minds. It was more than a sanctuary. It was a testament to the enduring power of love and the legacy of a little girl who had dared to ask life's biggest questions. Barron Trump, now a man with gray streaking his hair, often returned to the haven to reflect on the journey that had brought him there. He would sit in the Hall of Love, watching families hang tokens on the great wooden tree, each one a reminder of a life touched, a love shared, and a light that would never fade. On one such visit, he found himself speaking to a group of children and parents gathered in the observatory. They listened intently as he shared the story of Emily, the little girl who had taught him to believe in love. "She asked me if I believed in God," Barron said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "At the time, I didn't know how to answer. But Emily taught me something profound. She showed me that faith doesn't always come from certainty. It comes from connection. It comes from the love we share, the questions we dare to ask, and the courage we find in each other." He paused, looking out at the young faces before him. "Emily taught me that love doesn't disappear. It stays, growing in the hearts of everyone it touches. And when we live our lives with love, we become part of something eternal, something that no illness, no loss, and no distance can take away." The room was silent, the weight of his words settling like the first snow of winter. Then, a small voice broke the quiet. "Does that mean Emily's still here?" A little boy asked, his wide eyes fixed on Barron. Barron smiled, his gaze gentle. "Yes," he said. "She's here in every flower that blooms in the garden, in every star you see through the telescope, and in every act of kindness you share. Emily's love is part of all of this, and so is yours." The boy nodded, his face lighting up with understanding. And in that moment, Barron saw in the child's eyes the same spark he had seen in Emily's all those years ago, a spark of curiosity, courage, and hope. The enduring legacy. As Barron left the observatory that evening, he walked through the gardens, now illuminated by the soft glow of lanterns. He paused by the lake, watching the reflection of the moon ripple across the water. The promise he had made to Emily so many years ago still guided him, shaping his every decision, his every effort, his every interaction. In the end, he realized Emily's question wasn't just about God. It was about meaning, about purpose, about love. And in her quiet, unassuming way, she had answered it through the life she lived and the lives she touched. The lesson of Emily's story was simple yet profound. Love is eternal. It connects us, transcends us, and gives our lives their deepest meaning. Even in the face of loss, love remains, a guiding light that leads us forward. And as long as Emily's haven stood, as long as children found joy and families found hope, Emily's legacy of love would continue to grow. Proof that a single spark can ignite a fire that warms the world. This concludes the story. Thank you for watching until the end. I hope you found it enjoyable. If you did, please consider liking the video and sharing it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell for more captivating stories. Have a great day.